are currently in the middle of the Great Resignation, which means more people are interviewing and hiring than ever before. So it should be pretty easy to score a job, right? Like you could just rock up in your PJs because they need you more than you need them, right? Well, no, you still gotta be better than the person in line behind you. Here are the bare minimum of things that you should at least not do in a customer service interview, or really in any interview for that matter, to be honest. So whatever you're interviewing for, take these tips to heart. Hi folks, I'm Claire Cunningham, a customer service expert, founder of the Customer Connection, and I am here to help you improve your bottom line by putting the focus on the customer. I have sat on a lot of interview panels and man, I have seen some real doozies. Woo! So everything that I'm about to tell you not to do has actually happened in real life by real people. Some of these things are worse than others, but you should avoid doing all of them at all costs if you can. The very first thing, which should be obvious, but remains to be said, don't be late or cancel on the interview last minute. I have had people show up 20 minutes late to an interview. I've had people call 5 minutes after the interview was supposed to start, asking if they can reschedule. No, I don't have time for that. I'm going to hire one of these other people that showed up on time. You have to show the hiring manager that the interview is important to you, because if you don't, they're definitely going to assume that the job is not important to you either. If you're worried about not finding a park or something, or getting lost on the way and you think you might be late because of that, scope the area out beforehand or get there 30 minutes before. Go look for a park. If you've got time to kill, then do some breathing exercises in the car and go find the building or the floor or whatever it is that you need to find. Make sure you're there on time. The second thing you should not do, when asked about yourself, don't give a 15-minute monologue. Legit. One time we asked a person, tell us about yourself, and she went on for 15 minutes. We had to interrupt her so we could ask the other questions in the interview. Not off to a great start. Have a succinct answer, no more than 2 minutes tops. It should be a nice little overview of basically how you ended up right here at this table. A little bit of work history, maybe some important twists and turns that brought you to where you are, what interested you about the job, some personal little facts that are good to know, maybe why you are interested in that industry or how you got into it, something like that. This is kind of your little 2-minute opportunity to tell them the story that's not on your resume, not your 15-minute opportunity. This is almost always the first question you're going to get asked, so rehearse the answer and time yourself so you nail it. Okay, this third one is also something that it blows my mind that I even have to say it, but I have to. Don't say negative things about yourself. This is your opportunity to sell yourself and say why you are so great. Legit, this just happened the other day to me in an interview. The question that was asked of the candidate was, how would your coworkers describe you? Which, great question, I love it. And their answer was, some of them would probably say I'm short-tempered. I prefer passionate. What? Back up, short-tempered? I don't want to hire someone where I feel like I'm walking around on eggshells. It was a nice recovery to bring it along to passionate, but I cannot get over that first red flag that you told me that other people say you are short-tempered. Long story short, don't say negative things about yourself. If you feel like you need to be honest, just say the word passionate. My coworkers would say I'm passionate. That's a good one. Leave it at that. The fourth thing you should not do is shit talk your current or previous employers. As your potential future manager, I would be worried you would do the same thing to me if you left. If you do get asked why you want to leave your current job, there are better ways to answer that than saying, I hate working there, everyone's terrible. Instead, you could say something like, I've been there for a while now, it's time to move on and learn new things. Another good one is, I'm not as passionate about it as I used to be, so I'm looking for something new and exciting. Or depending on where you're hiring, if it's a bigger company, you could say there aren't really many opportunities for growth there. Basically, just don't talk shit about your last employer, and if you literally can't think of any reason and you still want to kind of be honest, Google answers to that question. The fifth thing that you should avoid doing is not answering a question, which seems bizarre. But I have had candidates freeze up on a question. They've just frozen and haven't said anything. It's super uncomfortable for everybody in the room. And I get it. People are nervous, but don't let yourself get to this point. You need to answer the question, even if you don't feel confident about the answer. Let me tell you what just happened recently. Sometimes I like to throw a fun question out in an interview, and usually one of the fun questions that I throw out is right at the end. I'll ask them, if you could have any superpower in the world, what would you have and why? I'm not looking for any particular superpower. I'm not actually looking for anything specific. I just want to see, how do they think on their feet? You know, are they kind of fun? What are they like as a person? You know, how do they answer that question? And I asked this to a candidate and they completely froze. They literally could not get words out of their mouth. We tried to help them. We said, oh, if you could pick flight or invisibility, then what would you choose? And they couldn't get it out. They couldn't even pick between a 1 or a 2 option. They were frozen. Don't let this happen to you. The point of that question was really just for fun. It didn't really matter what they would have chosen. They could have spit anything out. But for other questions, it comes down to preparedness. Google some common questions that might get asked of you in the role that you are applying for and have answers prepared for those. Also, think of a few examples of great customer service you've delivered when you've gone above and beyond. Have those ready at the front of your mind and be able to adapt those examples to the question that they're asking. Being prepared for the questions goes really nicely hand in hand with the 6th thing not to do, which is be completely clueless about the company that you're interviewing for. For general customer-facing kind of frontline staff roles, you don't need to go and do a whole bunch of research on a company's strategy and their marketing plan and do a whole competitor analysis. You don't need to go that deep into it. But you do need to be aware of what the company does and the products or services that they offer. This also just helps you to know if this is a place you want to work or not. It might not be something that interests you. I have 2 excellent examples of this. The first one, I was hiring for one of the higher education institutions I worked at, and I was interviewing a friend of a friend. And when we asked her, what do you know about us? She kind of sat there for a moment and was like, I think you offer like diplomas or something, maybe in like journalism, or she had no idea what we did. None. If she had just gotten on our website for literally 30 seconds, she would have known what we did. It's very, very obvious. So that was kind of a big turnoff there. She didn't do her research. She didn't know what we did. The next one, I was not directly involved in, but this is a really, really good example of why you should do your research just in case. A friend of mine's boyfriend was interviewing for a warehouse job, and he was smart enough to research the company beforehand. When he walked in, there were lots of adult toys, and during his interview, they said, oh, do you know what we do? And he's like, oh, yes, you pack and sell and ship adult toys to people. And because he knew that, they knew that he was okay with the job and what it entailed. Moral of the story, it's only going to benefit you to research the place that you're interviewing at beforehand. And the 7th and final tip, when they ask you, do you have any questions? Don't say, nope, I don't have any questions. Have questions ready. And if they actually did legit answer all the other stuff that matters, like salary and working hours and conditions and all that sort of stuff, then have other questions prepared to ask them just in case they actually did answer that. Here's a couple that can apply no matter what they've already told you about the role. What are the biggest challenges in the role? How's the team culture? And what are your favorite parts about working here? That one's also a great way to ask to see if it's a decent place to work. If they take too long to answer or don't really know how to answer, it might not be a great place. So those are 3 really great questions that you can ask, and it's good for you to know those things anyway. They'll get you through that awkward bit at the end if you actually really didn't know what to ask. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you have got any horror stories of what not to do in an interview, definitely put them below in the comments. I love reading stuff like that. And be sure to make all the magic happen and like and subscribe for more fun and practical content.